What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in Black Ops Cold War. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving on to the XM4 assault rifle. And diving right into it, let's start it off with our damage profile, which is 30-28. And what this means, since we have 150 health in this game, is it's going to be a 5 to 6 shot kill. It's also worth noting that just like most of the guns in this game, there are no body multipliers for this gun, so it doesn't matter if you're shooting them in the upper torso or the foot, it's going to deal the same amount of damage. As for headshots, we do get a standard multiplier of 1.4 in this game, and this takes our headshot damage to 42-39. And what this means is up close in your 5-shot kill range, if you want to get a 4-shot kill, you have to hit 3 of those 4 shots to the head, and then the other one can hit him in the body. So headshots aren't really all that great for this gun up close. However, at range, when you're in the 6-shot kill range, all it takes is one single headshot mixed in with body shots to reduce the number of shots it takes to kill. So 4 body shots and 1 shot to the head, now you've got a 5-shot kill just like you would up close. As for our rate of fire, this is 722 rounds per minute, which is the second fastest currently in the assault rifle category. And what this means for our time to kill is in the 5-shot kill range, it's going to be 332 milliseconds, and in the 6-shot kill range, it's 416 milliseconds. This time to kill is pretty much bang on average for assault rifles in the game, so it's nothing too special, it's not great, but it's also not a bad time to kill. Moving on, let's have a look at bullet velocity, and as you can see here, it's a little bit better than the AK-47, but it's worse than all of the other assault rifles at 550 meters per second. Personally, I've found that this does get in the way sometimes if you're trying to challenge somebody at mid to somewhat longer ranges, and therefore I highly recommend that you use a barrel that boosts your bullet velocity with the XM4. That made a huge difference for me. Now, moving on to ranges, our 5-shot kill range is great at about 45 meters, and generally in these standard 6v6 maps, this is not a problem. So in my opinion at least, I really don't feel like you need to boost this range at all. Of course, it can be helpful in some situations, but we've already got a great base range, and therefore bullet velocity I feel is much more important on this gun. As for hardcore, I've had a lot of people asking me what the health value is in hardcore in this game, and it turns out it's 28, which is the minimum damage of the XM4, and therefore this gun is always a one-shot kill in hardcore modes, unless the enemy is using armor, or unless you have to shoot through something to hit that enemy. Now, moving on to hipfire, as you can see here, the XM4 is pretty standard for the assault rifles when it comes to hipfire. And then taking a look at our idle sway, as you can see here, there's really not much movement at all when you aim down sight. And this is definitely one of the big strengths of using the XM4. But then let's get into recoil. And with the XM4, we've got relatively strong vertical recoil with very little side-to-side movement, especially early on in the magazine, which is where most of your kills are going to be coming from. And therefore, if we look at this on its own, I would say this gun is quite accurate and easy to control. However, when we put it up against all the other assault rifles in this game, it's not looking so great anymore. So while it isn't bad by any means, and I would still consider this to be an accurate gun, it's not quite as good as many of the other assault rifles out there. But moving on, our aim down sight time is standard for the assault rifles at 300 milliseconds, and our stated sprint out time is 400 milliseconds. However, our experienced sprint out time is 266 milliseconds, which is right around the realm of average for assault rifles as well. Next up, let's have a look at reload, and our reload add time is just 1.52 seconds with the XM4, and this is yet another value that is right around average for the assault rifles. It's not great, but it's also not bad by any means. And for those that are interested, here's the reload add times for all of the different magazine attachments as well, since they do change your reload time, and some of them are quite fast. And finally, for the important stats of this gun, let's have a look at movement, and our base movement speed is completely standard for assault rifles at 10.26 miles per hour, or 95%, and it's the same story with our sprint movement and our aim down sight movement. These are both standard values for assault rifles, so nothing really special going on here. Now, this brings us to the section where I want to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of this gun. And when it comes to strengths, this gun has a decent fire rate for assault rifles. Like I said earlier, it's the second fastest firing assault rifle out there, which means it's a little bit more forgiving than something like the Krig if you manage to miss a few shots. Additionally, even though the recoil doesn't look incredible when you put it side by side with the other assault rifles, I still consider this to be a very accurate and controllable gun, and I do consider that to be a strength, especially due to the fact that it's primarily vertical recoil. And finally, for strengths, this gun has a really good range value to it, and on top of that, all it takes is one headshot mixed in with body shots at the long ranges anyway, and therefore at really long ranges, even without any attachments that boost your range values, this gun is quite solid. And this brings us into the weaknesses, and the first weakness is that slow bullet velocity. Like I said, I highly encourage you guys to use a barrel that boosts your bullet velocity. It makes such a big difference with this gun. Additionally, the headshots aren't really that effective in close range situations. You're better off most of the time just aiming for the body. And just in general, this is considered a low damage full auto gun in this game. And with that, it's time to move on to the final barrel attachment with the XM4 because it actually boosts your damage and therefore it's worth talking about. Now this damage boost is minimal. Our new damage profile is going to be 32-30. And what this means is up close, it's still going to be a 5-shot kill to the body. However, at longer ranges, it's going to be a 5-shot kill to the body now. So with this barrel equipped, it will always be a 5-shot kill. On top of this, our headshot damage profile changes, and with this new headshot damage profile, now we just need 2 headshots mixed in with 2 body shots up close in order to get that 4-shot kill. However, it is the same story as we saw with the AK-47. This barrel massively increases your recoil, and as a result, I would generally recommend staying away from it. But now that we have all that covered, it's finally time to move into some excellent attachment combinations and recommended class setups. And for the first class setup I've got for you guys today, this one is more of an aggressive stealth build. This one really suits my playstyle and I really enjoy using it. And with this, we've got the agency suppressor, which is awesome because it keeps you off the radar, and it also significantly increases your vertical recoil control. 7% might not look like a lot, but when we have a look at the recoil plot right here, you can see that it helps a lot with this gun, and there is very, very little recoil to worry about. Next, we have the 13.7-inch extended barrel, which increases our bullet velocity by 100%, which is definitely needed alongside the agency suppressor because that causes us to lose some bullet velocity, so we got to make up for that. Then we've got the airborne elastic wrap, which is the final grip that we have access to, and this one is just great all around on basically every gun. I would definitely recommend using this. After this, we have the SAS mag clamp for our magazine attachment. And with this one, our reload add time is almost instant, which is really nice. And then finally, we're using the buffer tube for our stock. And this is just to help with our sprint out time because that airborne elastic wrap does hurt our sprint out time a decent amount, and we just want to counteract that a little bit. And you can see here some of the key stats with this particular setup that I find to be really important. Our range is reduced quite a bit, but like I said earlier, that doesn't really matter so much with this gun, especially if all you have to do is land one headshot beyond 30 meters. It's going to be just like you were shooting them at point blank range. Then our velocity is very solid, reload add time is really, really fast, our sprint out time is quite decent as well. And also, one of the keys to this is it's a very snappy setup. Our aim down sight time is faster than all of the SMGs in this game, so you can really snap on a target quickly, and I just find this is excellent for flanking around the map. Now, taking that one into an example class setup, you can see here I'm using a 1911 as my pistol with a suppressor on there as well. We've got stim shot, C4, and jammer for our equipment. And we're running the perk greed wildcard, and with this we've got flak jacket and tactical mask, scavenger as well as assassin, and then of course we've got ninja and ghost, because this is a stealth setup. Now, moving on to my second setup, as you can see here, I'm clearly using the gunfighter wildcard, which allows me to have 8 attachments on this gun. And this one I wanted to design to be a gun that's just really good at shutting down lanes and picking people off at basically any range. This is a super accurate setup, and it's also got a huge magazine capacity, which is great. So with this, we're using a quick dot LED. You could use whatever optic you're comfortable with though. The infantry compensator to help with our vertical recoil, and also later on you'll see I have the standard foregrip, which helps with our horizontal recoil control. And let's have a look at our recoil pattern here. You can see there is very little recoil with this, and I'm firing 50 rounds instead of 30 like before, and I'm still getting a really nice tight grouping here. So it's an extremely accurate gun, but we've also got the 13.5-inch reinforced heavy barrel, and this is the one that doubles our damage range and also gives us some bullet velocity. We've got that Salvo 50-round fast mag, which gives you a near instant reload time and a 50-round magazine, which is great. Of course, we once again have that airborne elastic wrap just because it's such a great attachment. And then finally, we have the tactical stock, and we also have the target designator. And once again, here are some of the key stats that I wanted to point out with this gun. Our range value is ridiculous. We're almost never going to drop off to a 6-shot kill. Our velocity is respectable. It's not quite as good as the previous setup, but it's still good enough in most situations. Our reload add time is nearly instant, just like I said. Sprint out time is a little bit slow, but this isn't really a super aggressive class setup. This one's designed more for hanging back and picking people off. And finally, with our aim down sight time, it's really not that bad. It's not super fast like the previous setup, but it's not slow by any means. And taking this one into an example class setup, with this we're using a shotgun for our secondary, so anytime anybody's getting close to us, we can swap over and just destroy them with that shotgun. For our tactical, we've got a stun grenade, lethal is a Semtex, and our field upgrade is an assault pack, so we can keep replenishing ammo, because we will be burning through ammo fairly quickly, and therefore I just find that that helps a lot. As for our perks, we've got forward intel for that larger minimap area, so we can see those people better at a distance, and we can also track spawn flips much more effectively. Gearhead, so we can get our assault pack up as fast as possible, and then finally Ninja, just because that is a complete crutch for me. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the XM4 assault rifle. As for my overall thoughts on this gun, it's basically just a generic assault rifle. It doesn't really dominate in any particular situation, but it's also not bad in any situation. It's just that gun that's kind of good enough all around. And for many people, they'll really enjoy the versatility of that. Of course, I'm interested in hearing your opinion on this gun in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the XM4? Now, if you guys are interested in seeing any other episodes of Gun Guides, I'm going to leave a link to the playlist down below. We are just getting started with this series, so it's not like there's a big selection at this point, but just want to give that reminder. Also, I am sharing my stat sheet publicly this year, and that will also be linked down in the description. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.